Okay, hello and welcome everybody to New Earth Consciousness. Tanya here. I'm here with Barbara, the Soul Igniter. She is a transformational coach, speaker, and author. And today we're going to talk about authentic expression in your soul-based business, and more specifically, also um, being a highly sensitive person, HSP. You have several programs. One is the HSP Power Academy. I'm really kind of curious about that, and we'll talk about your others as well. But this is my first time having somebody that is an expert in working with HSPs. So thanks for being here, Barbara.
Thank you for inviting me, Tanya. I love being here.
Yeah. So tell me about so again, HSP stands for highly sensitive person, and I know for
Correct.
myself, um, I really didn't come across that term really until the last maybe 12 years or so. It was a new term, and I was
Hmm.
like, HSP, what's that? I was like, oh my God, that's totally me, you know? And I think I bought a
Yes.
book and I read it. I was like, oh my God, everything in it was resonating. Um, and definitely being a highly sensitive person comes with challenges.
Yes.
Definitely, like, it feels more to me, it always felt, more of a challenge than necessarily a gift. So,
Hmm.
I'd love to hear you talk about that, like, what are the gifts, what are the challenges, and how do you take something that feels like a burden or a challenge and guide people into actually experiencing it as part of who they are and a gift and how they can empower themselves with having that as a superpower.
These are excellent questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. So, many people don't know that they are highly sensitive or an empath. They're not mutually exclusive, but most highly sensitive people are an empath. Not all empaths are highly sensitive people. That's a bit the connection between them. And I found out by accident because my boss told me, "Oh, but you're an HSP. You're exactly like my wife, and my wife is one, so you must be one." And then he continued his talk, and I had absolutely no idea what it meant. So that's making marketing also a bit tricky because a lot of people don't know what the term means or don't know that they are one. But when I went back to my workstation, I decided to Google it because I didn't even know if it was being insulted or something. And indeed, it stands for highly sensitive person. And I started reading about it. I also read lots of books. I went to fora where people were sharing their experiences and their stories. And it felt like I came home to myself, where I've always felt incredibly different from everybody else, where I was struggling with really being myself because people would tell me things like, "Oh, but you're far too sensitive," or "You really need to grow a thicker skin," or "Don't take everything so personal," or remarks like that. In combination with bullying at school, bullying at home, it made me feel that I wasn't good the way I was, and that I needed to change. And highly sensitive people are people who are mostly there for other people and they come second or last. And
Mhm.
so we want other people to feel good, we want other people to feel happy, we want to take care of people, we want to be there for people. So we give a lot. And when people then don't respond to us in kind, or they make fun of us, or they make remarks like this that they may not even mean as negative, they land really hard and they have a huge impact. And they make us feel like we are weird, or for a long time, I seriously considered that there was something wrong with me, that I was broken, that I needed to be fixed. So, and I see this also with my clients. And what then happens is that we try really hard to be the person that we think other people want us to be, or the person that we think other people expect us to be. So people pleasing is a part of it, but also wearing masks. I had a mask for when I was with my family. I had a mask for when I was with my friends. I even had two masks for at work, one for the boss and one for my coworkers. And it's the versions of you that you create in order to fulfill a certain role or a certain image, in order to have friends or to be in a relationship or to be a valued employee or to be a valued coworker. All of these reasonings play a factor into us developing, well, I don't think it's multiple personalities, but multiple versions of who we are. And eventually that drains us. So it's really hard to keep everything up. And if you then add to that, that highly sensitive people have a very strong sense of injustice. I had to stop watching Animal Planet because I couldn't take the animal cruelty. As seeing people with neglected animals that had to be taken away, it really hurt on a very deep level. But it's also pride in your work, great responsibility when it comes to work.
Sorry, can you pause? It dropped completely there for like 5 seconds. Go if you could rewind a little bit.
Where did it drop?
Um, it was like a couple sentences worth.
Okay, well, I'll pick it up with
So you were talking about all the different
uh,
masks. The
exactly the different masks that you're wearing.
Yeah, and how exhausting that it gets to be eventually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is one part of high sensitivity. Then we have this high level of we cannot take injustice. So when animals are being abused, when children are being abused, when we are being treated unjustly, this triggers us massively. If you then also add to that that we are wired differently. So the nervous system of the highly sensitive person, they proved this with science. They put a highly sensitive person under an MRI and also a non-highly sensitive person under an MRI, and they showed them the exact same images, the exact same videos, um, exactly the same for both of them. And what they saw was that a lot more areas of the brain light up for the highly sensitive person. So what I always say is our sensory antenna is more finely tuned. What means that if we are in a similar situation as a non-highly sensitive person, we literally hear more, see more, smell more, taste more, and experience more. We also have something they call sensory processing sensitivity. That means that we can process information at a much higher rate than most people, which is a good thing because a lot more information is coming in through our sensory antenna. So
Mhm.
throughout the day, we feel everybody's emotions, everybody's energies. We smell everybody's perfume, coffee, if they smoke, yes or no. We hear the radio, the phone calls, the other conversations. And we feel when people are unhappy or when people are angry or when people are mistrusting. So lots and lots of information come in, and it's a good thing that we process this very quickly because, well, we need to. But when we do not sleep well, so highly sensitive people need about 8 hours of sleep every night in order to process their day. And the only way to let go of everything that you experienced during the day, everything that happened during the day, is by sleeping, because then everything sort of passes by again, and then we sort and we shift and we let go of what's not important. We store in long-term memory what is important, the things we want to keep, and we process our day. But if there is not enough time to sleep or not enough quality of sleep, we don't process everything that has happened. So I
Mhm.
always explain this with the visual of a bucket. And
Mhm.
during the day, our bucket gets filled with many, many things. And at night, when we sleep, we empty the bucket. But when we don't get to empty the bucket because we didn't sleep enough or because our sleep was interrupted, then there's still a layer left in the bucket. And then the next day, the same thing happens again. So you can imagine that at the end of the day, the level is higher than the day before. If that day you then sleep 9 hours, for instance, then you're also okay. Then you've emptied the bucket, including the bit that was already there. But if the next night you also don't sleep enough, then you still have a layer remaining in your bucket, and it can be a higher layer than the day before. And if this continues, this is what happens when we end up in a burnout, then our level at the start of the day gets higher and higher and higher, and then only this needs to happen in the end, and we're already overflowing. That means that we cannot control our emotions anymore, we cannot control our actions anymore, and just things come out, either crying or being brutally honest, or running away because it becomes too much. We become overwhelmed, and we end up in a burnout when this lasts for too long of a period, and we don't empty the bucket in between. So for highly sensitive people, it is very important to learn how to manage their energy, how to protect your energy better so that you don't take everything in. And when we are not protected, we are like a sponge and we suck up everything from our environment. But we can learn to make that sponge less sucky,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that we
Yeah.
suck less things up from our environment so that we have less to process. That is one way of working with it. Another way is making sure that you empty your bucket during the day. There are various techniques that I teach people to empty the bucket during the day, especially when something massively happens, right? Something very upsetting, then you want to be able to empty your bucket in that moment or right after, so that you feel at a nice level again, instead of agitated and anxious. That often happens, and those are often the things that I experience myself and that my clients tell me about when they haven't learned how to manage their high sensitivity yet. They are easily overwhelmed, easily emotional. They have usually difficulty with friendships, the right friends, maintaining friendships. They suffer from a lot of injustice, and they often need to withdraw and have a lot of alone time in order to protect themselves from sucking up more
Yeah.
in their sponge.
Yeah. So this is really interesting because yeah, there's the HSPs have a lot of gifts. Their sensitivity is their gift. And
Yes.
and yet I feel like, being those that choose to be entrepreneurs can feel like a huge learning curve, right?
Yes, but
Like it
entrepreneurship is always, I think, a huge learning curve. No, nothing
doesn't matter. I
teaches
mean,
you.
if it's hard enough for the I'll say regular person, if it's hard enough for people who are already outgoing and they're not as maybe sensitive to their environment and the people that they interact with, like um I can imagine that for HSPs, that learning curve as far as like how to cultivate the resiliency that you need in order to be successful as an entrepreneur. Like, so you provide those tools, right, for an
Yes,
HSP to be like, yeah, you don't have to be overwhelmed. You don't have to like, there's a way, because I find oftentimes, just as a sensitive person, when I look at what business coaches are teaching, right?
mm,
They have a strategy. I remember the first coach that I worked with, it was like, "Oh, you gotta do a 5-day challenge and then 21-day challenge, and you gotta have, like, a master class that you do every." There you are. Are you with me?
yes.
It dropped for a minute. Um, so did you catch that? Were you able to hear what I said?
No, because you froze for me.
I froze. Okay, so w so as an HSP, and I was saying the first business coach that I ever hired, it was interesting because they were like, "Okay, you're gonna do this, 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 and this." Like, the 21-day challenge, the 5-day challenges, this,
Yes,
posting already, all like like this.
yes.
I was like, and I followed along and I did all those things, and then I was like,
It's not
"Shit,
working.
you mean I gotta do this every single month?" I'm like, I'm exhausted, like, I'm
Yes,
burnt out already. You know? So
yes,
so do you help HSPs come up with a strategy that works for them that's not, because I feel
yes,
like most of the business world out there, it's, it's very, well, it's very masculine, it's very
yes.
like, "Go, go, go." Like, yeah. Do
Yeah.
you wanna speak to
No,
that?
you're absolutely right. So I don't teach people my method. I've fallen into that trap as well with them with Facebook groups and inviting people in and your content, and you're constantly on, giving, 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 giving. And eventually you run out of stuff to give because it's already in our nature to give. And what most of us have trouble with is taking really good care of ourselves. So as a highly sensitive entrepreneur, it starts with a really good foundation. I call it getting to know your user manual, everything that makes you you, how high sensitivity manifests for you, what gives you energy, what drains your energy, how can you best protect yourself. So you need to have this strong foundation both in life and in business. And so in that sense, there's no difference between if you have or if you haven't got a business. The foundation is the same. And then on top of your business, you're going to discover, for instance, if you are an introvert, 70% of the highly sensitive people are introverted, 30% is extroverted. I
Mm,
am an or extroverted introvert, actually. So I am an extroverted introvert. But if you are an introvert, then doing these masterclasses every week or doing Facebook lives every day or that type of thing, it will not work for you because you are an introvert. And what might work better for you is blogging or something where there's a little bit more difference in there, or maybe you want to write a book. So I help people discover what works for them. I have a broad toolbox with many different things, and I can help you discover the things that work for you that fit into your unique personality. And so that's why it's so important that you first get to know yourself really well, the ins and outs of your user manual, because then you can decide if you want to go blogging, or like me, also have your YouTube channel and release 3 videos every week. I can do that because I am an extroverted introvert and I love talking to people and I love sharing my knowledge, and it's also part of my path. And my profile is that of the visionary teacher. So I am designed to teach and to talk and to inspire. So it's really important that you discover all of these aspects for you so that you know exactly how to market yourself, how to talk to your prospective clients. But you can also learn everything about who your ideal client is. And so that's also what I help people discover:
mm,
who is my ideal client? How am I meant to be serving them with my unique gifts? What is my mission, my purpose here? And then also how to run your business in a way that it's sort of like a natural extension of who you are so that it becomes effortless. And it also means that you need to know which things to outsource. For instance, if
mm,
you drain completely on anything to do with technical stuff like StreamYard or your website or things like that. I speak to so many people who have issues with the technical side of their business. Outsource it as fast as possible, because that will help you maintain your energy. So in the end, it's all about knowing who you are and knowing what your mission, your purpose here is, who you are meant to be serving, how you are meant to be serving them, and how you can best talk to them so that you attract them in the most effortless way possible, so that entrepreneurship becomes something that is the thing that you love doing the most, something that doesn't require a lot of effort or that doesn't drain you because you love it so much the way that you're doing it.
right.
Does that make
And
sense?
that yeah, and that comes back to the authentic expression, right? Because
Yes.
when the expression is authentic, then it is effortless and it
Yes.
feels good. When we're
Exactly.
expressing, it's yeah, there's an effortlessness and you don't feel like you're giving anything away or, draining yourself, because it's arising on its own.
Yes, because in essence, you are being you. And not the you that you learned to be or the you that you thought you had to be. No, the you that you were born into this world to be. The real you, the authentic you. And if you are the real you and you stop caring so much about what other people think about you, what other people say about you, that's also one of the pitfalls for highly sensitive people, being too concerned about how you come across or what other people might say or might think. FOMO, fear of missing out, is also one of the pitfalls for highly sensitive people, because we want to do really well and we're afraid that we're not doing well because we do not trust ourselves enough to trust in our internal guidance, our intuition. And it's also a part of our society. We've vastly moved away from intuition and intuitive gifts. We, for a long time, have survived on reasoning, and very male dominated in the entrepreneur world. Like you said, it's about goal setting and a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year plan. But that's not how you're meant to be when you are more of a spiritual entrepreneur, when you are more of a feeling, intuitive being. Then this rigorous planning is not going to work for you. These structured 5 day challenges, 21 day challenges, weekly masterclasses, it's not going to work for you. Running a Facebook group where you constantly have to be on, and where you have to moderate, and where you need to share content, and where you also need to react to everybody and put it into the right order. It's not for you when that is not aligned with your core talents, with your core gifts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just letting that land. For me, just listening to what you're saying, it's, the highly sensitive person, would you say it's almost like it's kind of an oxymoron, right? Because on the one hand, we're highly sensitive and we feel everything and everyone
Mhm.
easily, and we're impacted, and
Yes.
yet it seems like in order to use our gifts effectively, we have to be able to shield out, to an extent, the outside influences so that we can actually feel
Yes.
who we are. It's like, yes, I feel you and I feel me, right? And to
It's
have that
because
distinction.
Exactly. It's because our society for the longest time hasn't been directed towards highly sensitive people. It's been directed to the logical thinkers and the people who work with the masculine energy in the brain. But the planet is very much shifting. And we haven't really talked about the benefits or the positive aspects of being highly sensitive.
Right.
And there are many, especially in relationship to being an entrepreneur. And many people tell me, "Oh, but I already end up in a burnout when I'm working for a boss. I cannot work for myself because I'm not able to handle that." But I don't think that that is true, because when you are your own boss, you get to decide your schedule. You get to decide when you work, how much you work, how long you work, if you work in one stretch or in blocks, how many days you work, with whom you work, on what you work. So you get to decide everything, and we crave this autonomy. We are dying when people tell us you need to work in this way, in this method, in this time frame, with these tools, and that's it, right? When there's no autonomy, when there's no own say in things, we don't like that, because we are much faster in everything that we are doing. So when we get a task, we usually do that task in at least half the time than it would take other people.
This is true.
And we also see 50 other things while we're doing it and do that at the same time too. And especially when you're a highly sensitive entrepreneur and you're working with people, we have this intuition, we have this sixth sense. So when I mentor people, when I coach people, I am able to read between the lines. I hear the things that are not being said. And this allows me to ask the right type of questions, because I think as a good coach or a good mentor, you don't tell people the answer. You ask questions, inquiry questions, that help people go deeper within to find the answers themselves, because all the answers that you've ever been looking for are inside of you. You just need someone to help you unlock them instead of telling you solutions or answers, because they 9 out of 10 times don't align with your energy type, with who you are and what actually works for you. So that's what happens with the sheer amount of people I talk to who have invested thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in business coaches and mentors, and they did exactly what they told them to do, and the results are not there. And then they feel disappointed and misguided and distrustful with the next one that comes around that promises golden mountains. And I get it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, everything you're saying, it's funny. I was literally just on a phone call with a fellow colleague, and she's like, "Tanya, I don't know how you do all the things that you do." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what you mean." For
Yes.
me, as when you say, I think that's one thing I didn't realize about highly sensitive is that they're able to process quickly and get things done quickly. That's I mean, that's like the number one comment I always get. It's like, "Wow, you're so fast." I'm like, "Really?"
Yes.
It's not even I'm not even trying to be fast. I just
No.
am, right? So
Yes.
very interesting, and yeah, and the ability to see in between the lines. Um, so I think what I'm hearing too is like it's a good reminder for HSPs to know that when we're seeing other people working so hard, what we're not realizing is we're doing twice we're working twice as fast.
At
And so,
least.
right? And so we can back off.
Yes,
Like,
but then something else comes into play, right? Because then we feel like we're slacking, like we're not
yes,
doing enough. And then
yes,
the self doubt creeps in. And then
right,
we think, oh, and am I doing enough? Or when it also depends on what energy type you are. Some people have this perpetual engine and they can keep going and going and going. Others can only work 2 hours a day and then their engine or their battery is empty and they need to spend the rest of the day taking good care of themselves. But usually we don't do that because we feel guilty or we feel that that's not possible, it's not allowed. We have all these misconceptions and these beliefs around this that keep us from doing what we actually need. And that's part of what I mean with getting to know yourself really well, getting to know how you work, how you operate, and what you actually need, so that you can start giving that to yourself. And then life becomes effortless and you're starting to have fun. And
yeah,
when you're starting to have fun,
yeah,
then magic starts to happen because you will start attracting people that think, oh, I love your energy, and you have a story that's similar to mine, and I would love to have that energy too. So could we talk?
yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. So valuable what you provide. Um, can you tell me about you had 2 other programs listed, the Authentic Superpower System and the Soulpreneur System.
Mhm.
Can you talk about those? What are the distinctions between those
Yes.
2?
So the Soulpreneur Success System is my 12-month flagship program. That is 6 months of the authentic self system, and the intuitive business success system is the last 6 months. So the other one is basically the first 6 months of the Soulpreneur Success System.
Mhm,
The first 6 months, the authentic system, that is really about getting to know your user manual. So this can be followed by people who do not have a business, which is why I separated them into different things. And so in the first 6 months, you learn everything about you, what makes you tick, what gives you energy, what drains your energy, how to manage your emotions, how to manage your energy, how to protect yourself, how to ground yourself, everything you need with all the tools and that you would need to manage yourself and keep yourself feeling happy and content with enough energy. Self-care is a part of it, your morning routine, your evening routines, all of these things is in the first 6 months. And so that means that when you are an entrepreneur and you haven't mastered that yet, you want to do the Soulpreneur Success System, because in the last 6 months, you will learn how to build on top of that foundation and attract the right types of customers with the right type of messaging,
mhm,
doing the right types of things that fit into your unique talents, your unique gifts, and how to message and market yourself accordingly. And because that's the intuitive business success system. And people who've already worked on their high sensitivity, who already have a strong foundation, but
mhm.
are just missing how to put that in business, they
Right.
could do only the last 6 months, the intuitive business success.
Awesome, beautiful, I love that. So you really are tuning that's what I love about what you're presenting here, your work, is like people, when they go look for a business coach, right? They jump into these group programs, and then
Yes.
it's like, "This does not work for me," you
No.
know? They've spent the
Yeah.
money, and that's the beauty. And so when they're working with you, you are like, you are focusing in on them and what
Yes.
makes them unique, and then coming up with a strategy that actually works for them.
Yes.
It's so important. I mean, it's like not only, there's a place for, I don't wanna bash group programs, there's obviously a place, and, there's a lot that one can learn, but I feel like if you really want the quantum leap, let's say, like, these are the one, and is like really going deep
Yes.
into you and what you wanna create, and really listening, and that's when things can really land for you, and that's when
Yes.
it's just makes sense. I mean, it's just logical, right? But,
Your power is your unique story. You are the thing that makes your business unique. You are the reason why people want to work with you. And even if you and I were doing the exact same thing, then we would still be attracting different people, because people will be attracted to either your energy or to my energy, but not to both of us. Are we stuck again?
oh, there we are. We're
Yes,
back
we were
again.
stuck again.
It dropped again. So you said you and I are doing something about you and I, if we
Yeah,
did this.
even if we were to do exactly the same thing, then people would still either be attracted to your energy or to my energy, but never to both of us, because we have a unique story and a unique perspective. So I don't think it's about teaching people what works for me, because that worked for me.
Right.
And that's what most other people do. Oh, it worked for me, so now I'm an expert and I can teach you. But for most people, it won't work, because everybody is unique and everybody is different. So the real power, I think, is finding the things that work for you. And that is just trial and error, and trying out different things, while at the same time getting to know yourself at a very deep level. Because it's also very important that you start loving yourself. That is also something that a lot of highly sensitive people struggle with, because we've been made to feel like there was something wrong with us. So we suffer from the fear of not being good enough, and the fear of being rejected, the fear of being judged. And there are many, many more fears that we often suffer from. And it means that we need to learn to be proud of ourselves, to look at everything that makes us unique and think, whoa, I'm one awesome woman, or I'm one heck of a guy. And think, I really have something to offer the world that is unique, that is my perspective. And then not be afraid to be different, to go out there being different. And so for me, it's always about the person themselves and what they need, what fits with them, and what makes their heart sing. And that is probably something very different for you than it is for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is all such really good stuff, and if all of this is landing for you guys, be sure and comment and ask questions. And before we close, you have podcasts and you have some
Yes,
books. Would you like
correct.
to share with us about those things?
I would love to. So at the moment, I've paused my podcast because I also have two TV shows, and doing everything by myself became too much. But the older episodes of my podcast are still found on all major platforms, and it's called 100% Yourself with Barbara. And on my YouTube channel, which is now my main focus, I have two TV shows. One is called HSP TV, and here it's really for the people that are at the beginning of their self-discovery journey. It's either stories of other high HSPs and what they went through and how they overcame certain things, and where they are now, laced with tips and examples. Or we talk about the things that we often struggle with in the beginning, like saying no without feeling guilty, proper boundary setting, taking really good care of yourself, topics like that. And my other TV show is called Awaken to Your Soul Path. And it's for the highly sensitive or empath person that is a bit further along, where you've either entered into your dark night of the soul, where it feels like your old life is breaking down and bursting at the seams, and you could feel really depressed and desperate and you don't know what's happening. And we talk also about things like numerology, spirituality, healing, wounding, inner child work, shadow work, topics like that.
Mhm.
So that's on YouTube, with the same name as my website. And I've written books for highly sensitive people, the Highly Sensitive People Survival Guide, but also about burnout for both highly sensitive people and their families. And I've also created, I think, at least 12 different types of journals that I sell on Amazon, that are either a manifestation journal or a daily reflections journal or a self-love journal where you really go deep within yourself and discover everything to love about yourself, or a shadow work journey where you're starting to heal your wounding and your patterning, or what I call the ultimate rebel unicorn workbook, which is sort of a combination of this deeper inner exploration while at the same time also manifesting the life that you want, and being grateful for the things that are already in your life. The gratitude journal is also one of them, because all of these things make such a big impact, especially on us energy sensitive people, because it's everything's energy and all of us are connected. And by acknowledging that, you make a big step into no, thriving in today's world instead of surviving, which is often what people are doing when they don't really know anything about themselves yet.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, beautiful. Wonderful. So, yeah, everyone, please check Barbara out at hspcoachbarbara.com. Um, Barbara, thank you so much for everything. I mean, this is like we could go on and on and on. There's just so much to this topic. But yeah, definitely. If you're an HSP, check out her website. Definitely check out her YouTube channel. It sounds like there's a lot of value in there that you can learn. And yeah, thank you so much, Barbara, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Tanya. It was a real pleasure. And everybody who wants to explore working with me or just wants to talk, I offer a free clarity call. So there shouldn't be a barrier for you to get help or to talk to somebody, if you want to.
Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
we, yeah, we'll see everyone at another time. Thank you, Barbara.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.